This episode is sponsored by Cryptid. And now, if you use the promo code SECRETPOD, you won't save 10% on your first order, you will save 20% on your first order. So if you're a paranormal or cryptozoology lover, go to cryptidcrate.com and use the promo code SECRETPOD. And that'll save 20% on your first order. cryptidcrate.com.
Podcast discussing conspiracies, paranormal, and the strange.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. This is a podcast about the strange and unusual, the secret and conspiracies, the fringe, and the supernatural. This is a show where we do little to no research on our topics. We are not professionals in any field except speculation. This is the Secret Transmission Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about the Mothman. I am your host, Toby. And alongside me are my co-hosts. Please introduce yourselves.
Tyler.
Kristen.
Rudy.
Usually I point. I just let y'all decide who is going to talk first.
Russian roulette.
I went ahead and took it.
That's because you're a go-getter, Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
You're stingy.
I'm not a go-getter, so.
Is that why you were last?
Yes.
Today our topic is the Mothman.
Ugh.
Do you know anything about the Mothman, Kristen?
A little, not a lot.
I think you and Tyler probably know little to nothing about the Mothman.
That is correct. I think it happened in, Virginia, maybe?
Maybe?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Am I close?
You're there.
It's in the movie.
I watched half the movie.
Was that
I
Kevin
like the
Costner?
movie.
Was that a Kevin Costner?
Yeah, I
flick?
believe
Okay,
so.
all right. Or Richard Gere when he was still popular. Now I have to look this up while
Wait,
you actually
did you
have
just Mandela me?
maybe.
Now I don't know who it was.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking I don't know. I was thinking almost like a Tom Hanks for some reason. I don't know why.
It's either Richard Gere
But I think it's just
or
'cause of that
what's his
movie
name?
that's
Look it up now, because now
yeah.
you're gonna jack with me. Every one of our shows, we have to have one Mandela.
Richard Gere.
Richard Gere.
It's
Thank
Richard
you.
Gere.
Okay,
Yeah.
you.
Oh, how could I forget that? Dream Man.
Gerbil Boy.
Oh
Boy, my
yeah.
ass.
Yeah.
We'll get to that conspiracy
Well,
one day.
actually, yeah, Gerbil Boy, my ass is actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Shut up. Shut
There's
your
a.
mouth.
Wasn't it?
Your dirty
Doesn't it
mouth.
have something to do with the Mothman Prophecy movie or something?
I don't know. I don't even know where that
you
story
know
Where
what
the
we're
hell
talking
does
about?
Mothman
No
Prophecy
clue.
movie and Gerbils Up the Ass come into play?
They have one thing in common. Richard Gere.
So we are not talking about Richard Gere or the Mothman Prophecies.
Pizzagate Richard Gere conspiracy over here. God damn.
Hamstergate.
Hamstergate.
Gerbilgate.
Hashtag Hamstergate.
Okay, so
Evil.
what do you know about the Mothman, Kristen?
That he's scary?
It's scary. Tyler, what do you know about Mothman?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
I didn't make it that far in the movie.
Did you even see what he looked like in the movie?
No.
He's
I
really
think the only thing I remember
tall.
was
Supposedly he has
somebody
wings.
driving or something and seeing something, and that's pretty much where I ended the movie.
Okay. So he watched 12 seconds of
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Well, is that the opening?
I think so. Something
No, like in
that.
the Mothman movie. So
It's been a while since I've seen it.
a lot of people. The movie is based on their people who have trees almost like in their yard or in their backyard. So they are looking outside and they can't sleep, or they think
Having
they're
trouble sleeping.
but they are awake and they're having trouble sleeping, and they see this Mothman creature out there and pretty much telling them what to do in their lives, like feeding them,
Is that what they're doing?
well, fuck, that's what I thought. I mean, maybe not. Maybe I misunderstood everything.
See, I thought in the movie the legend was that he shows up to
Warn.
warn you
well,
about
that's what I'm
an
saying.
event.
Like
Yeah.
shows them bad things or something. I don't know. That's
He
probably
gives
tough.
he gives you signs that something bad's coming or something good's coming. It's like a creature that almost protects you in the movie.
Right. Well, the first sighting was November 12th, 1966, near Clendenin?
Oh, we're already on a start.
Oh, man. Cledenin. Clendenin?
Clinton.
Yeah,
Clinton,
fuck you.
Clinton.
That's what's up.
I'm going off of you spelling it out
Clendenin,
loud.
well, it was West Virginia. 5 men were in a local cemetery getting a grave ready for burial. They ended up seeing a brown human being lifted off from some trees and flew over their heads. The men didn't think it was a bird, but more like a man with wings. Kenneth Duncan, one of the eyewitnesses, said that they watched the creature for almost a minute. From most sources, this was the first sighting of the Mothman. What I noticed was there was a possible sighting before that. A different source says that in the early 60s, a woman was driving Route 2 near the Ohio River. As she neared the Chief Cornstalk hunting grounds, a large man-shaped figure walked out onto the road. As the woman slowed her car, the figure spread 2 large wings and took off. Ironically, the witness did not report the incident, and her quote was, "Who would believe us anyway?"
And then
It's
the
true.
song started playing. Jeepers creepers, where'd you get those beavers?
You know, that kinda-
Jeepers creepers, where'd you get
Huh.
those eyes?
I guess that's kind of what he would look like, slightly.
All I'm saying is that's how I experienced the Mothman guy being, and that is not fun for me. I don't care if he's going to show me the whole future. I don't want to look at that man before that happens.
So that same source that I got that first sighting from also says the first sighting that received publicity was in 1965. A woman living near the Ohio River says her son told her he saw an angel outside. She didn't think anything of it until a year later. In the summer of 1966, a doctor's wife in the same general area said that she had seen a 6-foot-long thing resembling a giant butterfly. So,
Oh,
a kid
interesting.
saw an
Yeah.
angel, someone else saw a giant butterfly.
Right.
November 14th, a Salem resident, which Salem's about 90 miles from Point Pleasant, like where the main stuff happens.
Right.
Noel Partridge was watching television when the screen suddenly went dark. He stated that a weird pattern filled the screen, and then he heard a loud whining sound from outside, and it kept like raising in pitch, and it sounded like a generator winding up, is what he said.
Uh-huh.
He ended up going out to investigate it with a flashlight, and he pointed the light to where he heard the noise coming from, and all he could see were 2 red lights reflecting back at him.
Eyes.
The 2 red objects were hovering above his field. His big old German Shepherd Bandit took off into the field and was never seen again.
Was that necessary? Bandit.
Well, one
Texas accent came out.
One source says this case actually happened on the same night as this next sighting.
And then the movie Children of the Corn was invented. This is all kind of like
It's all coming together.
coming together now
Yeah.
for me. Stephen King.
So, November 15th, 2 young married couples had a very strange encounter as they drove past an abandoned TNT plant near Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So, I guess this TNT plant has like bunkers, and you know, they used to test it and stuff, and it used to be some kind of military holding area or something.
Okay.
Like a prison?
No, not a prison, like where they keep
Like they
ammunition.
store, like they store
like a
storage
things.
bunker
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
So that comes into play later, but I just wanted to throw that out there in case someone else knew something. Rudy, I'm looking at you.
No, I didn't. I haven't heard any of this.
Okay. Roger and Linda Scarberry. What a weird, interesting last name.
Why do you say that?
Scarberry? I don't know. And Steve and Mary Mallette told police they saw a tall figure stood by the side of the road. It was shaped like a man, but bigger, said Mr. Scarberry,
Scarberry.
whatever. Maybe 6.5 or 7 feet tall, and it had big wings folded against its back. His wife commented on its huge red eyes, and she described them to be like automobile reflectors.
Transformer.
Take the shape of butterfly.
Bumblebee.
When the creature moved toward the car door, the couple panicked and they sped away. Moments later, they saw the same creature on a hillside near the road. It spread its wings and rose into the air, following their car, which by now was traveling up to maybe 100 miles an hour. That bird kept right up with us, said one of the group. They told the deputy sheriff, Millard Halstead, that it followed them down Highway 62 and right to the Point Pleasant city limits. And they would not be the only ones to report the creature that night. Another group of 4 witnesses claimed to see the bird 3 different times.
Huh.
Jeepers Creepers. That's what they had to have put that movie onto this.
No. I mean, the only thing from Jeepers Creepers is that it's a winged man.
And that he followed the cars in the second movie.
They didn't say anything about the bee-eating you-mobile.
Well, that's in a whole nother town. I saw that bee eating you mobile. Remember
Yeah.
I lived in Durant? There was that
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 white
truck.
one? It was
there,
white, wasn't it?
No, it was all rusted. It was a truck that was like an old wrecker, and it was a guy in Durant that was running, like vote for me kind of running. It was to a T, looked just like the freaking.
It did. It just needed to be
Jeepers
like
Creepers.
raised up a little bit or something.
It was outrageous. I was like, every time I drove by, I was like, God dang, Jeepers Creepers
It was just
mobile out
missing
here
bee eating
voting.
you on it, I swear.
Right.
Oh, it was to a T, the whole entire thing. I don't think he meant to. I think it was just supposed to be like, hey, I got this truck that can sit here with the cool advertisement on it, and it's an old wrecker, but it was scary.
So on November 16th, a press conference was held in the county courthouse, and the couples from the TNT plant sighting repeated their story to everyone. Deputy Halstead, who had known the couples all their lives, took them very seriously.
Was it Halstead or Halstead?
I think it's Halstead.
I think it's dealer's choice on this one, so fuck off. I'll say it how I want.
Damn, fuck.
It's STEAD.
Fucking dealt out over here.
Yeah.
So he also said that they've never been in any trouble, and that no one should have any doubt in their story.
These kids never smoked pot or did drugs a day in their lives. They totally saw a winged man out there in the pastures
I thought that was kind of funny. Like the sheriff's like, no, I vouch for these guys.
with
They're
reflector
they're
eyes.
good. So this is when the press dubbed the creature the Mothman.
Mothman.
And they apparently named it after a character from the popular Batman television series. So that's the Batman 66, the Bill Dozier Batman.
We got
Adam
that. Who's the
West.
Mothman in there?
I don't think we've watched the Mothman episode because I can't remember that. I don't remember that one. So maybe we just haven't gotten to it yet, or we overlooked it. Anyways, so a lot of people started to believe the TNT plant was the lair of the Mothman. The area was made up of several hundred acres of woods and large concrete domes where high explosives were stored during World War II. A network of tunnels honeycombed the area and made it possible for the creature to move about without being seen. In addition, the man-made labyrinth, the area was also comprised of the McClintock Wildlife Station, a heavily forested
McClintock or McClintock?
McClintock.
McClintock.
But it was, damn it, you made me mess up. A heavily forested animal preserve filled with woods, artificial ponds, and steep ridges and hills. The only people to be in those areas would be hunters, fishermen, and teenagers who would go to a dirt road they dubbed Lover's Lane.
Everywhere has a lover's lane.
Apparently,
We don't have a lover's lane.
Gainesville doesn't have one.
Yeah, they do.
Do we?
Where?
Kristen, you want to go to Lover's Lane?
First, where's it at?
I'm not
If
gonna
it's
tell
in
you.
safe side of town, then yeah.
It's usually on the outskirts of town.
What's the
Overlooking a
outskirts
hill.
of town here?
I'm not going to tell you. Not on
Our
there.
road right here?
It's here.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's like right down the road over there. Yeah.
Oh, there's a geocache, like where they have.
I'm just making shit up. I don't know.
God dang it!
So, not many homes were around this area, except for a man named Ralph Thomas and his family. Why do I keep saying these names all?
It's because you want to enunciate and you want to make sure you do it right.
Mm.
You don't want to screw up.
Maybe.
It just makes you sound
Cool.
slow.
No. November 16th, they spotted a funny red light in the sky that moved and hovered above the TNT plant. It wasn't an airplane, Miss Marcella Bennett, a friend of the Thomas family, said, but we couldn't figure out what it was. Miss Bennett ended up driving to the Thomas house a few minutes later with her baby. An odd figure started to come toward her car. It seemed as though it had been laying down, she later recalled. It rose up slowly from the ground, a big gray thing, bigger than a man with terrible glowing eyes. Miss Bennett was so horrified that she dropped her little girl.
Oh. How old was the little girl?
I don't know. I didn't look into
Oh
it.
my God.
I don't know if I would admit that part of the story. There's no reason for her to admit that part of the story unless it hurt the child and she was like, well, I gotta explain why the child is hurt now.
So she's using the Mothman to cover up child abuse?
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
She quickly recovered, picked up her child, and then ran to the house. The family locked everyone inside, and the creature came up on the porch and looked into the windows. The police were called, but the Mothman had vanished by the time the authorities had arrived. Miss Bennett had to get medical attention to deal with her anxieties over the next several months. I wonder if the child needed medical attention.
Right. God forbid you check on the child.
But
that you dropped.
she's got anxiety over this whole thing.
Yeah.
She was having nightmares and later told investigators that she believed the creature had visited her again at her home. She said that she could often hear a sound like a woman screaming near her isolated home on the edge of Point Pleasant.
Maybe just wanted a booty call.
The Mothman?
Yeah.
Point Pleasant
He was
wasn't
like,
so
he-
pleasant.
He was like, I need a booty call, ditch that baby.
Right.
And she threw it on the ground.
Then she was like, wait a minute, I can't do that to my baby. And she ran in the house.
Yeah, that's horrible.
That's
left
why
the
she heard a
baby?
woman screaming. He, getting his jollies the next few nights.
Let's take a small break, and when we come back, we will talk about John Keel. And he's basically the man that knows everything and chronologically put all the information together
Oh, cool.
in a lot
Okay.
of books.
Right.
So we will be right back. Hey guys, it's Toby. Just wanted to pop in here real quick and let you know that if you wanted to help support the show, you can go to tpublic.com/secrettransmission and order one of our shirts. We get a little kickback from each item that's sold. So please go browse. There's a bunch of different t-shirts, a bunch of different styles, and a bunch of different colors. So go to tpublic.com/secrettransmission and help support the show. Thank you. And we are back, and we are going to be talking about John Keel, like I said before the break. So, John Keel is a major chronological.
Chronologist?
Yes. Oop, I just hit the microphone.
What?
I hit the microphone.
Oh, okay.
I'm moving mine. Hold on.
Stop hitting the microphone, Toby.
He's a major chronologist. How do you say it?
I'd say
Chronologist?
chronologist.
Chronologist of the Mothman and everything surrounding it, and wrote that at least 100 people personally witnessed the creature between November 1966 and November 1967. According to their reports, the creature stood between 5 and 7 feet tall, was wider than a man, and shuffled on human-like legs. Its eyes sat near the top of its shoulders and had a bat-like wing that glided rather than flapped when it flew. When it would take off like straight up off the ground like a helicopter would, so like it would jump into the air. And witnesses also described its murky skin as being either gray or brown, and it emitted a humming sound when it flew. The Mothman was apparently incapable of speech and gave off a screeching sound, like Miss Bennett stated,
Right.
sounded like a woman screaming. John Keel arrived in Point Pleasant in December 1966 and immediately began collecting reports of Mothman sightings and even some UFO reports from before the creature was seen. He also compiled evidence that suggested a problem with the television and phones that began in the fall of 1966. Lights had been seen in the skies, particularly around the TNT plant, and cars that passed along the nearby road sometimes stalled without explanation. John Keel has written many books on the Mothman, so go check out one of his books or something.
And that's John Keel.
Yeah.
Keel.
Keel? Is that, would you pronounce it Keel?
Well, there's a couple different spellings of Keel online. I don't want people to look
okay,
into
I
the
gotcha.
wrong guy.
A reporter named Mary Hyre, Hyre?
Hyrie. Yeah,
Hyrie?
I'd say Hyrie.
Mary Hyre, who was the Point Pleasant correspondent for the Athens, Ohio newspaper, The Messenger, wrote about the sightings also. She would apparently get up to 500 phone calls from people saying they saw strange lights in the sky. On one night in January 1967, she took working late in her office. A man walked in. He was short, he had thick glasses, long black hair, and it was cut very straight, like a bowl haircut. Mary said he spoke in a low voice and asked for directions to Welsh, West Virginia. He had a speech impediment and made her feel very uncomfortable. He kept getting closer and closer to her to make it worse. She ended up getting the manager, and this is what didn't make sense. She went and got the manager, but the manager didn't do anything. So the short little man is still sticking around.
Right.
And he picks up a pin from underneath her desk. I don't know how he found this pin underneath her desk, but he picked it up, and apparently he was looking at it like he'd never seen a pin before. And apparently he started laughing and took off running out of the building with this pin.
All right.
Okay.
This is important in a little while. I know it sounds out of place and doesn't make sense to why this has nothing to do with a winged creature, right?
Right.
So a few weeks later, she saw the man again, and apparently he noticed her looking at him, and he ran and jumped into a black car.
Really?
Just a weird little thing that, this might come back later.
Okay. Might.
We'll see.
I think I know where you're going with this, too. It sounds oddly familiar.
On December 19th, 1967, a little over a year from the original popular sighting,
Right.
The Silver Bridge connecting Ohio and West Virginia straight into the town of Point Pleasant collapsed, killing 46 people.
Oh, wow.
Now, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Plenty of warning.
This is your warning. Spoiler alert. If you have seen the Mothman prophecies, Tyler, I'm about to spoil this for you. I apologize.
Awesome. Should I leave or?
So that's basically what the ending of the Mothman prophecies is. The bridge collapses and he's on it. The main character.
Yeah, but they save everyone in the movie.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was the point of the movie, is it's leading up to that.
Right.
All the clues are leading up to this.
Now, see, from what I understand, that movie was loosely based on stuff. It wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't supposed to be like not a documentary, but like not based on. I think it says based on true events, but I think that's loosely based on true events.
Very loosely based on true events, because, like I said, Richard Gere figures it out and manages to save everyone off the bridge before it collapses.
Right. So the thing.
Spoiler alert.
So the thing that connects this bridge collapsing to the Mothman is people claim that they saw the Mothman on top of, like, well, I don't know what bridges. What is that part called that like comes up? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Kind of
The peak of it.
Yeah.
So they saw him standing up there, and there's a picture, but I don't know if it's something that's been photoshopped. Are you about to Google it?
I'm
It's
gonna
like,
look it up.
Here
Yeah.
I come, Full House.
Yeah.
Coming to wreck your world.
Look up the Mothman on the Silver Bridge and see. But I couldn't tell if it was a real picture that someone snapped or if it's just like a scary thing that someone edited together. But a lot of people believe that this was the Mothman warning people about the upcoming disaster, or it was the reason for the collapse. After this happened, the sightings completely stopped and it was never seen again.
Well, according to the little timestamp on here, this picture supposedly was taken on November 13th of 2003.
So that's a fake picture. I didn't look into it. I just saw.
Well, I don't know. Look, they have a
statue. Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. Shark.
Oh, she gets it.
You told us to Google the photo of it.
Of the bridge.
The bridge.
Well, ain't my fault it's in the feed.
But yeah, so after the bridge collapsed and people claimed that they saw it, the Mothman sightings completely stopped. So
Right.
that's interesting.
It is interesting, actually. Maybe he used all that TNT.
Dynamite.
Hanging around that plant a lot.
TNT.
That's right.
Dynamite.
Because what are the odds he'd hang around this TNT plant and then all of a sudden he's spotted on the bridge and the bridge collapses?
That's a good point. That's a really good
It's a really
point.
good point.
Huh.
Maybe it was all his weight that collapsed it.
Yeah.
Go
So
on a diet, Mothman.
after the collapse,
Mothman's a chub.
you know what? I don't think he's chubby, guys.
He couldn't
think
fly
he-
if he was chubby.
Yeah, I think he works out. You got to have some, that's why his shoulders, he doesn't have a head because his shoulders muscle up to his head.
Oh,
Maybe
he's got the
you know,
no
it's
neck
one of
thing
those
going
Yeah.
things
on.
where it's like, golly, he's got a big head, must weigh a lot, kind of thing. Because he's like, yeah, I go around showing people what's gonna happen. What up? And so his head weighs so much, it's like, boom, there goes the silver bridge.
Yeah.
His own ego crossed the bridge,
His own
Yes.
ego.
and the TNT he stole from the abandoned plant.
So after the collapse, during the week of Christmas, Mary, what did we say her last name was?
Hyrie,
Mary. Oh, good old
just
Mary.
good old Mary.
She was at her office again. Now, this is the lady that had the encounter with the odd bowl cut hairdo guy that laughed about the pen.
Bluebell guy. Bluebell bowl cut. Y'all don't remember that old commercial where it shows a kid eating the ice cream and then they flip the bowl upside down, they ate the ice cream in it, get the bowl cut? What the...
I remember chili bowls, though.
Mandela.
That may have never happened. No,
Chili bowl haircuts?
I could have swore there was a commercial where the kid ate the ice cream and
Oh,
they flipped. They
oh,
showed
you
him,
got Mandela. Okay,
They
I see what
flipped
you're
him
saying.
up. No, I'm saying like I think I'm 100% right, but then again, maybe y'all aren't. I don't know.
Well, anyways, this is the same lady that had the encounter with the short little man that I was talking about. So she was at her office again, and a short, dark-skinned man that looked oriental with high cheekbones, narrow eyes, and an unidentifiable accent wearing a black suit and tie came in.
Are you about to tell me the Mothman's an Asian?
No. This
No,
hasn't.
no.
No,
Say.
this person came in to visit Mary. This man does not have big, huge wings and glowing red eyes, Kristen.
He's
So it
just
could
odd.
be like a like a, I don't know.
Well, he wasn't asking about the bridge collapse, but wanted to know about the local UFO sightings. She gave the man a file of press clippings from related cases.
Right.
He kept insisting to speak with her instead of thumbing through the files. I guess at this point she asked him to leave her office, which I don't know why she asked this guy, but didn't ask the strange guy that was getting closer and closer earlier. Remember?
Yeah.
She went and got her.
Lonely. Okay, she's lonely. She needs affection.
The same night, people claimed a man very identical to the one that visited Mary came to their homes. These people were the people that had claimed to have seen lights in the sky.
Right.
The man claimed to be a reporter from Cambridge, Ohio. One source said that he claimed not to know where Columbus, Ohio was, even though the two towns were just a few miles apart. So, story's not matching up that he knows anything about Ohio.
Right.
He also made everyone he talked to feel uneasy and uncomfortable, just like the first little man.
Right.
And that was the end of the Man in Black.
You think he was MIB?
I mean, he was wearing black. He was asking weird questions
Right. About UFOs.
So,
But typically with Men in
They
Black,
couldn't send a friendlier face out there, or what?
there's veiled threats involved too, though.
right. And who knows? We may do an episode in the future on that.
You never know.
Wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge.
So,
Kristen is not having any of our bullshit right now.
okay.
She's like, y'all stupid as fuck.
So,
The
the
wink got me.
Oh, did it? Is that all it
Boing.
takes?
So, Monster Quest,
Uh-huh.
the television series, had a eyewitness account from 2006 in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And I got a little clip of him.
There's Irishmen over there? La croix.
Fuck off. I have an audio clip, and y'all are going to listen to it, so. Jerks.
The first thing I saw were the eyes and what I thought maybe were teeth.
A local Cherokee man was being driven home by his son. when they encountered the Mothman. They sped up and started making sharp turns to shake the animal. But the beast pursued them undeterred.
The first thing we saw was this winged creature, 14-foot wingspan at least. It was huge. It was almost covered half the road.
When the car slowed down, the monster attacked the vehicle.
And it was close enough for me almost to reach out and touch. It almost hit the windshield.
The terrifying encounter gave the man a clear look at the monster.
It had a wide mouth. The eyes were the size of the reflectors that are alongside the road. The body was attached to the wings. It had gray and brown hair-like, but not much hair. More fleshy, kind of like a bat. That's why I called it a man bat, because it looked like a cross between a man and a bat.
The attack ended when the creature abruptly changed directions before their eyes.
It was like in mid-air at windshield height. I have never seen an animal move like that. It just went straight up.
But as it departed, the creature let out a shriek.
We heard the sound in our heads. It was kind of like vertigo. It made us sick to our stomach. Real high-pitched ringing. And my son swerved and went off the road. He was driving, and he opened the driver's door and threw up, and I got sick.
The man returned to the location a couple of days later. What he found was even more disturbing.
We went out to look at the site, and thinking maybe it had come out of the bushes there someplace, or it was on the road or whatever, and found a deer carcass that looked like it was filleted, laying alongside the ditch.
The appearance of the creature matched historic descriptions of the Mothman.
So people are still claiming to see the Mothman, pretty recently. I mean, 2006, that's 11 years ago, but still, I mean, that's a more recent sighting. And, I mean, they had everything for the classic Mothman, the screeching noise, the glowing red eyes. Now, he said that it had a 14-foot wingspan. Or earlier, when I read the reports of how big, did I ever say how big the wingspan?
you never identified a wingspan.
So this motherfucker's got a pretty good reach.
Yeah, well, you'd have to get the lift required.
I guess
lift
that's
the body.
true.
Yeah.
Like I said, the latest story that I found of someone claiming to have seen the Mothman was November 21st of 2016.
Right.
So last year. Well, not even last year at this point, just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
A man claimed he had an undoctored picture of Mothman jumping from a tree off of Route 2. He did refuse to release his name, and he refused to do an interview with or an interview on camera with the news crew.
Right.
I don't want the MIB coming picking him up.
Right.
You know what? That's smart, though, now that I think about it. He was apparently out hunting or something, and he spotted it and snapped a picture of it. So that picture's out there, too, if you look for a Mothman picture.
Might have to look up some Mothman photos, see if I can find some good stuff. Saw some stuff earlier, but most of them was like fan art.
Yeah, a lot of it's just mostly drawings.
Right.
But there's supposedly supposed to be like one or two pictures.
Like legit, possible.
Supposedly, yeah.
Right.
Do we want to take a break real quick?
Sure.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come back and cover some of the theories and then see what we think the Mothman is. So we'll be right back.
All right.
Hey there, fellow podcast fans. Do you love comic books, and especially Swamp Thing? Get out of the bayou. So do we. Come check out the Parlapod Show, the world's only podcast dedicated to the muck-encrusted mockery of a man himself, Swamp Thing. This is some serious arcane audio. We also have a sister show, Splurch, where we dive into the world of comics and all the crazy aspects of life. Give us a listen at parlapod.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, our YouTube channel, visit our site, parlapod.com, and consider supporting our Patreon for some really cool rewards and exclusive content. Check us out on podcastradionetwork.net every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Join the conversation on Twitter by following @Parlapod. We'll see you in the swamps.
And we are back with our theories of what the Mothman is or could be. So, are y'all ready for me to blow your mind?
Let's hear it.
The first and most popular theory for the skeptics.
Okay.
It's a sandhill crane.
Sandhill crane?
A sandhill crane. Go ahead and look up the sandhill crane.
I'm gonna have to.
Everyone's pulling out their phones to look up the sandhill crane. Wildlife biologist Dr. Robert L. Smith at West Virginia University told reporters that descriptions and sightings all fit the sandhill crane, a large American crane almost as high as a man with a 7-foot wingspan featuring circles of reddish coloring around the eyes, and that the bird may have wandered out of its migration route.
He doesn't have a man-like figure. Sorry.
This particular crane was unrecognized at first because it is not native to that region, okay? I hear your complaint there, Kristen. I completely understand. But what about a mutated sandhill crane? Because some of those bunkers where it was hanging out in the TNT factory were leaking toxic waste they later found. And it was leaking to the water source for the wildlife.
What? For real?
Yes.
Toxic.
Yeah,
leak
like
at
what
a
kind-
Like what kind
dynamite?
of toxic waste?
I don't know. I'm not a TNT
So-
expert.
I mean,
But
toxic.
if they're
glycerin?
if they're not from there, then they
I know it wouldn't. If they're not,
doesn't add up.
if they're not from the region, this is my thought. If those sandhill cranes are not from the region, they would not have had enough time to have a mutation from the water, right?
I don't know. I don't know how mutations and chemicals work.
Tyler, how does mutations work? I just know it's a perk that you can get in Fallout.
What do you mean? How does it work? It's like
I thought it just took time. Didn't it take time to be mutated and like it's slow like radiation? It's not just something that you can wake up and you,
Okay,
I don't know. Animals are different.
Was it
than us.
radiation or was it some kind of other chemical?
Man, do I look like a radiologist?
You're the one who brought it up.
Do I look like a...
I figured you would have a little more inside knowledge as to what kind of chemicals were spilling.
It
Not
better be
gonna
some like
happen.
gamma radiation
I
because
even
that thing
looked
grew
up-
like 3
Okay,
times the
so-
size.
Right.
Kristen's got something.
Here's a picture of the crane.
Sure.
It's the red on its face is a conjoined like area. It's not like you can separate that and make it to where it
Look like
looks
eyes.
like
So it was a
eyes.
mutated 2-headed crane. That was running around
Well, I
that's,
looked at mutated
6 foot
sandhill
tall.
crane, and the only mutated one says that they suffer from a thing called a sandhill crane suffering from oh god dang it Fusaria toxicosis, and that just means that their wings and their heads drop.
Well,
So-
that would explain the lower head, you know? Like, because from all
Like
the accounts...
this,
From all the...
a crane's neck is so tall that
Listen, from all... Look at all the pictures of the Mothman. All the pictures, they depict the head being kind of low on the body.
this is an actual crane.
I
that
know
you're
what a
talking
crane
about.
looks like, jerk.
That does not depict a human head.
I'm not saying that does,
Or
Kristen.
them stick legs do not depict a man's.
Well, anyways, some of the people think that if you don't buy the Sandhill crane...
What in the ever-loving hell did you just find?
Top 10 explanations for the Mothman list verse.
Oh, okay.
Some of the people that don't buy into the Sandhill crane theory,
Uh-huh.
they think that it could have just been big owls carrying something.
How...
That's well, and at night. Okay, first off,
Friendly owls that are chasing cars going, look, I got you something, I got you something.
well, first off, if you hear the story of the Mothman and you're out in the woods or you're out in that area and you see anything jump up and it's got a, big wingspan and it's got glowing eyes.
But how many things in the middle of the night do you see jump up and have wingspans and eyes?
Don't owls screech too, though? Don't they? Aren't there like
Ah.
screeching owls?
I mean,
There are screeching owls, but not like that. Like, not that big.
Well, I'm talking about for the people who claim to have heard the screeching sound of the Mothman.
right.
Could it just be like an owl?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, some people could be mistaken for it being anything. I mean, any kind of... It could have been a owl that was just a lot closer than they thought, and that's why they thought it was 8 foot tall or whatever.
Right.
So, the next theory will be UFO or alien. Mothman's an alien.
That's kind of a typical cryptid explanation is it's an alien.
Yeah,
you
just
know.
I mean, it's pretty easy. Just throw out the alien, especially with the UFO sightings before the actual sighting of the Mothman himself
Right.
or herself.
And then you have the creepy dudes hanging around town, supposedly.
Right, the men
chili bowl, the chili
the
bowl,
men
and then
wearing black.
Yeah, then the men wearing black.
So, okay, what was the time period that he came over?
66,
67.
66 to 67 was when they saw the majority of the sightings, and 67 is when the bridge
There wasn't
collapsed.
a lot of Asian men over here in those times, was there?
I believe so.
Was there?
Yes.
I'm just asking. I don't know. I wasn't in the 60s. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's a small town, and I'm from a small town that didn't have...
But I'm saying, like, little Asian men wearing suits
They
and
came to
stuff.
build railroads.
Oh, God dang it, Tyler.
So...
It's true.
It is
You know,
true.
I thought about it whenever I was about to say it. I regretted it immediately. And now I really do regret it.
So...
The only woman in a group of 3 men.
Have we ever had Asians in the
Bullshit.
country?
No, I'm not sitting there saying, oh, I'm not saying like that. I'm not saying the freaking wall of China shit or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, was there an abundance of them?
Do you hear
a
the
little...
shovel? It sounds like she's just
She just
digging
keeps
and digging.
digging. Come on. Let's
We're
see how
just
far
kidding.
down
It's
we
getting
can
deeper
go.
and deeper.
I'm just saying, was there an abundance of them over there? You know, like a little banana stack or anything.
Hold on. Let me look up the Asian population for West Virginia in
Please do.
1967.
Do it.
All right. Hold on a
You
minute.
never know.
Let me look it up.
Well, while you're doing that, let me tell you, the last thing that the Mothman could possibly be is basically the Mothman. Like, that's
Oh, surprise, surprise, surprise.
a prophet type cryptid creature, and you know, this creature was here to warn people of oncoming disasters or whatever. So that's
Maybe it. Okay, I'm just going out here.
okay. Let's hear it.
Maybe it is the Mothman is actually an angel that's maimed and torn from going through battle or whatever that came down here, and it's an angel from God.
Or it's a demon from hell,
Torturing
and
people.
tearing down
Knocking down bridges.
yeah,
And
trying to get into their car.
Only an angel would pre-warn, not a devil. A devil would sit there and, after it happens, stand there and laugh at
But
you.
if it truly was going to pre-warn 43, 46 people wouldn't have died on that bridge that night.
Well, there's always a
44, I think.
sacrifice. There's always. I will say this, and I'm not
She's
like
going human
I'm
sacrifice
gonna go.
route, bro.
I'm gonna go like godly here. I heard today, whenever I was listening to a sermon, it said that God would. You're here for God, and if He wants to uproot you, then He will uproot you. There's a time and a place, is what they said. So if there's a time and a place, and those people needed to be uprooted, then that was the time and place for them. Sorry, I know it's really godly, but that's what I heard, and that's what I'm sticking to on things.
It was just their time, and basically, you could look at it
And
as...
you gotta think, though, also, like, if in a godly manner, you have to think that if they were gonna die on that bridge, then, like, or at some, horrible death beyond that, besides dying on a bridge. I know that's, like, kind of crazy, like, that is, like, the utmost horrible death to some people, but they could have died from a worse death.
Well,
so the
maybe
Mothman took them.
No, maybe
to- 'cause
God
it was
took
their
them
time.
before that's what I was saying.
Well, what I was
I'm
going to
just
say
saying
is...
it could be a mangled up angel going around.
Well, why couldn't it be just death? Like, some people have the image of death with the big scythe and the hood.
Because you just said it. That's what death looks like.
Well, why not? Why couldn't death be something else? I don't know. I'm just throwing something
Well,
else
that'd
out
be
there.
kind of child's play then, because death can't sit there and show someone their life, like, flash before their
Maybe
eyes.
he did. Maybe he wasn't. He wasn't trying to warn anyone. He was just there, like, whoops, I
He's
revealed
the
myself.
fucked up death angel.
Why not?
Why not?
He's like, oh, here's how you die, but oh, boop, you dead. Like, I just don't see it. I mean, I don't know. Like, that'd be a messed up, like, I don't know.
Did you ever find what you're looking up? The Asian population?
Right now, I think this
We're
is
looking
as
like
of
1 to like a million.
I
I'm just kidding.
think as of like today,
Not today.
the population is only like 0.5%.
of Asians.
of Asians is in
So
West Virginia
that lady
right now.
has all right to be freaked out by seeing an Asian.
Right. Because it's a very low Asian population, especially in the 60s.
Okay. Well, before
I
we
win on that one.
before we decide like what we think Mothman is, and there's a lot more that we're missing. We're not getting all of the facts on this one because there's a lot of stuff to dig into on this. But there is a Mothman museum that opened in 2002 in Pleasant Point, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And they also have the annual Mothman Festival on the third weekend in September, and that also started in 2002. And the town...
Which we will all eventually be attending.
That would be cool. That would be really fun.
We can't just let that go out there.
And that's where you find that 12-foot metallic statue of the Mothman.
Pretty sweet.
So...
Get pictures with it. Yeah.
You're
I'll just
a good
Photoshop
little
myself in a
angel.
picture. Of it.
It's much cheaper than going out there.
Oh yeah.
So, who wants to go first of what they think the Mothman is?
I'll go because I already said what I think.
Okay, what do you think?
I think it's a main
Angel.
angel.
Okay.
Like, I think, because honestly, I do not think that an angel would be like, oh, here it is, here's your fate, and then let it happen. I think an angel would, and then laugh about it kind of thing. Like, I think the angel would let you see it, and then it would happen, versus the devil would be like, oh, it happened, and then, I don't know. I think that it's like a maimed angel, I guess.
Okay. Rudy?
I would like to sit back and believe that he is some kind of not interstellar, but interdimensional being.
Ooh.
Phasing in and out, checking shit out. Wanted to
Okay.
see the bridge collapse.
I feel like that's my scapegoat on a lot of stuff like this, too.
What, interdimensional beings?
Yeah, because we had during our Shadow People talk, that's kind of what I was thinking
Like
about
a
them.
futuristic kind of creature?
No, like something that's not from our realm.
They would have to know where to land, though.
Not
No.
necessarily.
If they're a creature of...
Just happen to land there and then poof.
Just think
and
about
it
Thor
falls.
coming over.
Yeah.
He destroys everything, too, though.
No, Thor
Thor
doesn't. He
does, yeah.
saves everything.
I don't know, you
With
watch
his
a couple of
giant
last
hammer.
movies, he destroys the whole world while trying to save the world.
So you think interdimensional beings?
Sure, just like Bigfoot. That's why they can never capture him.
Oh, man, that's what I believe, too, on that.
Man, that's what I was about to say. I believe that him and Bigfoot crash landed on here, and they, got split up. They've been trying to find each other ever since.
No,
They're
trying
lovers.
To meet back up.
They're lovers.
Mothman's his ugly brother.
God dang.
I got one of those.
Oh, come on now.
Boom.
Wait,
Shots
sorry.
fired.
Wait, am I Bigfoot or Mothman in this situation?
Well,
Bigfoot.
I'm definitely taller than you, so.
So is that your
Yep.
you're gonna say alien type creature?
Oh yeah.
Tyler's never takes these serious.
Nope. Not even a little bit.
I mean, do you believe that there's any?
I do believe there are aliens, so I believe that.
Well, I was gonna ask if you believe in this case. Do you believe that people were actually seeing something and that?
I don't know. This is a hard one because this one isn't like one of the. I mean, it's a known one, but it's not like one of those.
It's not like you see Mothman sightings in Texas or California. It's just kind of isolated to one area, really.
Mostly, I
For the
mean,
most
there
part,
are
yeah.
some that are outside of the out of the West Virginia region, but
And the one that we listened to earlier, I kind of have my doubts because it was almost an exact replica of the story you told with the four people in the car.
right.
So that's kind of why I'm sitting back on it. Maybe they just read the story and decided to come up with their own version.
Put a
of
little
it.
twist on it.
Yeah.
He's Mothman. He's probably just chasing around the lights.
Ah!
Come outside,
Oh, hey.
running into him and stuff.
Hey, here we go.
That's why he's coming after the cars.
Yeah, they're bright and shiny. And he's a
Oh.
moth. Hey.
That's why he was on that bridge, because there's lots of lights.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Kristen, do you think these sightings are real? For real?
I don't know.
Realsies?
If I have to believe the alien sightings, then I have to believe these.
Okay. I think I'm going to stick with the interdimensional, because I feel like that's the best way to... If you're going to throw your cards down and say, "Yep, I'm all in on it being a real thing."
Right.
That's the easiest way to be like, okay, I can believe in it because it's not of our realm.
Right.
It doesn't live by our same.
But then the little creepy chili bowl guy, and then the Asian men in black, or man who wears black.
Yeah, the men in what? Men in who?
The man who wears black.
Next episode.
Spoiler. Spoiler. So, those are just kind of little odd thrown ins in the whole thing.
Yeah,
because they were I don't know, that one little creepy guy looking at the pen.
And then he took off running, laughing.
Right. You ever wonder if people just do that to just do it, just to mess with other people?
Yes.
It's like I'd love to walk into some place, like open the door real quick, go, "What year is it?" So 2017. It worked, and then just run back out.
But you can't be wearing any pants. You can't be wearing pants, and you have to be just covered in a ridiculous gooey substance.
Right. Right.
Otherwise,
he has to be naked. He can't time travel this close.
Oh yeah, Terminator.
Well,
says
it depends on what version
does
of time
Arnold
travel.
know? I mean, for crying out loud, he's sucking at the freaking apprentice right now, so he doesn't know shit.
If I looked like Arnold, I'd definitely time travel naked for sure. So
I would never put on
I'd be like,
clothes.
I'm a chubby man. I gotta have a smock.
So, what are we saying? Mothman sightings? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for what it was. I mean, it's not like it's a.
I don't want
it's
him
not
to
like-
be.
It was
I'm
kind of
just
a
telling you, if
temporary
I look out
thing.
this
Yeah.
back door and there's a goddamn Mothman out there, it ain't happening.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
I'm prepared
now.
to wake up.
Give him a
I know you
fly
don't like
swatter.
me to wake you up, but prepare to wake up because you're gonna be woken up if I see
Get a can
some
of Raid.
reflector eyes.
And raid.
Thank
Outta
God,
here.
no.
We just
Demon.
need a giant. What are those? The lights. The
The
big
bug,
the zapper.
The zapper. We just need a giant zapper to put in our front door and back door, and we'll be okay.
You should have just hung one of those on the bridge. Everybody would have been safe.
I literally do not get any sleep at night because the dogs, they bark. And I know when
trust
they bark,
us,
they bark at
our
somebody.
listeners hear the dogs barking all the
Right,
time.
okay, so you hear that. So that means that somebody's out there. Okay, so the last couple of nights, Toby doesn't know this because he's been asleep. There's been four-wheelers in the back little land area, and I've heard them start up and go off. So my dogs are out there barking at them, and I am terrified whenever I hear the freaking dogs barking, and I just go and I throw treats out the door, and I'm like, "Here, shut up." And then Toby's like, "What are you doing?" Whenever I get back into bed, and I'm like, "They're barking," and they keep me up like no other because they're out there barking at something, and I know they only bark when there's something there, so it terrifies me. I need a man in my life.
You heard it here, folks.
Damn.
She's dumping me on the Mothman episode. Hashtag lonely.
Hashtag yeah.
I'm so scared because I literally unlock the door and I open it and I throw treats out there and I'm like,
Okay, so
and
in
close it real
true
quick.
horror fashion, you hear the dog bark, and your first instinct is to go outside.
Might as well be
No.
running upstairs.
Right.
I just tried to make them be quiet because of the friggin' neighbors.
But
and
did
I'm
you
like,
ever think that they're barking at something because something's right there by
well,
the back
I do
door?
look around. Don't worry. Oh, are you kidding me? I look around for sure.
Jesus.
Uh-huh.
Let's go ahead and wrap this
I'm
one
really
up,
terrified
guys.
of things like that.
I'm telling
Everyone,
He knows it. That's why he's wrapping
you,
it
it's
up.
coming. Something's coming for you one of these nights.
I'm
Watch
look.
out.
You know what I look
Mothman is
outside
coming.
for? Is some stupid looking clown like you do on your weekdays and hang out
And my-
because I am terrified of that kind of stuff.
Oh, especially the foggy nights. Those are the best. Dress up in my clown outfit.
all right, everyone, say goodbye.
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 Bye, Rudy.
As always, we appreciate you listening to the show. If you could, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe. If you're not an iTunes user, or you have friends that might be interested in the show that aren't iTunes users, we are available on Stitcher, Satchel, Google Play, and YouTube. So there's a place for everyone to listen to us. You can also catch reruns of our latest episodes on the Podcast Radio Network at 10 p.m. Eastern on Sundays, right after the Tattooed Bananas. 10 p.m. Eastern, podcastradionetwork.net. Every Sunday. You can leave us a voicemail 304-602-7444. You can comment on an episode or whatever you'd like. Just call and we'll play it on the show. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Secret Trans Pod. We also have a Facebook page, and Tyler runs that, so go like it or whatever you do on Facebook. You can email us if you have any questions, concerns, or just want to get in contact with us. It's secrettransmission@hotmail.com. We will soon have t-shirts, and I will give you an update on that very shortly. They'll be a little bit pricey, but we will get a cut because we're going to be doing it through a company. So every shirt that you buy will benefit the show. Also, Gibson, our little Gibson, has made a little cameo appearance on the Drift and Ramble podcast, and it's just a little thing, but here's a little promo from the Drift and Ramble podcast, which is a great show, so hear this.
Welcome to the Drift and Ramble podcast. Each episode will explore true stories and American legends.
Hey, mister, were you in the Civil War?
Oh, no, child. No, sir. When I was 10 years old, the war broke out between the North and the South, and there was little else talked about among the slaves as well as the slave owners in the neighborhood. We arrived in Deadwood in good condition without having any trouble with the Indians on the way up. We turned our cattle over to their new owners at once, then proceeded to take in the town.
Taking in the town included entering the 4th of July cowhand competition. Love won the $200 purse in a roping match and a shooting contest.
Right then, the assembled crowd named me Deadwood Dick and proclaimed me champion of the Western cattle country. We'll amble through the past. We'll delve into the folklore of the times and maybe even uncover a ghost story or two. So, saddle up or settle in for the Drift and Ramble podcast.
So if you could, go listen to the next episode of the Drift and Ramble podcast, and you'll hear a little Gibson in there. If you like learning about Western history and stuff, it's a really good podcast. It's really fun. The Tattooed Bananas have even made a little cameo appearance on one of their episodes. So, anyways, we hope you come back and listen to us try to explain the unexplainable.
Ready to say goodbye, Roger.
Adventure where the service is tops and you never get...
Tonight, some of the great, all-time great boxers.
Man,
Didn't we have this conversation last time?
I don't know.
I'm having a serious case of deja vu right now. I could have sworn.
Deja Mandela.
I could have sworn we had this conversation last time we talked.
I think our last After Dark that we just that just posted today turned out really, really well.
Really?
Oh yeah, I think it's probably one of our better After Darks.
Oh, the one I wasn't here for. I see how it is.
We actually did
Screw
really
you
good at the
guys.
end because we didn't know what each other were going to say, and then he's like, "You've been struck by," and we were like, both said Mandela.
It's
Not
really
thinking about it, and he was like, I was like, I wasn't even know he was going to say that shit, but.